Part 14. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 131. Mr. Zhong is naturally very familiar with this method. The problem is that toads don't bite people, but they are disgusting people. Today, they are already disgusting enough. During this whole day, Lu Feng not only stirred up the business world, but also spread to the entertainment industry. Under the effect of the fan economy, some girls who liked the Four Heavenly Kings became the first buyers of GMA food. The external telephones of the major factories of GMA food are ringing non-stop. I don't know how many goods are sold. There are a lot of calls, and all kinds of interviews are coming. Lu Feng received a lot of calls throughout the day, all of them wishing for new products to sell well. At 5 o'clock in the evening, the office phone rang. Which one? Is it President Lu? It was President Zhong's voice on the other end of the phone. Lu Feng raised his brows. He was a little surprised that Mr. Zhong called at this time, but he could hold his breath and wait until now, and it is estimated that there would be no less meetings. Lu Feng knew that Wahaha should be very angry today. It's me, who are you? I, Zhong King Hao. Mr. Zhong, today is really a double happiness, why did you call me? Lu Feng said with a smile. Mr. Lu, I'm older than you, it's fine to be your uncle, you still have a long way to go in life, don't jump around in some gray areas, just do business well, I'm older than you, and I don't want to have the same knowledge as you. What you said is a bit heavy, everyone is a businessman, and everyone depends on their means. Then you are serious about advertising. I don't have money, Lu Feng said simply, I have money and I will do this. Let's cut to the chase and say, you can't get rid of me, now Wahaha is famous in the country, I don't stick to you, who am I sticking to? Mr. Zhong on the other end of the phone was a little astonished at Lu Feng's magnanimity, and sneered after a while, you are shameless. I'm really a villain. It's not that easy for you to get rid of me. Really? Then kill you. It just so happens that I need your factory in the north very much. Since you are forcing me to take action, don't blame me for being rude to your back. To be honest, in my eyes, GMA food is too weak. Now, even if you use some means to get some factories, it is still very weak. Although you are ranked second in the list of emerging food private enterprises, the gap between the second and the first is sometimes bigger than the difference between heaven and earth. Then let's touch it? Okay, wait, the phone hung up. Lu Feng pressed the hang up button and found that Gao Jiwei and a group of executives walked in at an unknown time. Obviously, he heard the words on the phone. Mr. Lu, are we sure we want to gossip with others? Besides, the endorsement of the Four Heavenly Kings is still pending, the marketing manager worried. A lawsuit is a lawsuit, and only the four of them are called the Four Heavenly Kings. At that time, they said that the picture was misplaced. Lu Feng asked, have the sales data come out? No, this kind of data is difficult to track, but according to the data provided by the 6 factories, the total distribution volume in the past 2 days is 1.4 million bottles, and the total sales of other snacks have exceeded 2.3 million, and they are still expanding. In the market department estimates that the small snack market is around 20 million, and the small canned food market is between 100 million and 500 million. Continue to buy newspaper pages in Hangzhou tomorrow, and write that GMA food has sold more than 10 million bottles, and it can go around the world when connected. Is this propaganda overdone? You can do what you want. At the same time, tell all the factories to accept interviews with newspapers and TV stations, and let them remember a sentence. It's not surprising, but it's crazy. Lu Feng looked at the manager of the marketing department and said, there is also the matter of the Four Heavenly Kings, don't say a word, just go back and forth, today is like the Four Heavenly Kings, tomorrow will be like the Four Heavenly Kings, play for a few months, let's pay him a sum of money, do you understand? No. Creating foreign products and creating products that the four heavenly kings eat are products, implying that ordinary people, our products are special products. Find a few people, put on white coats, take a set of photos in the laboratory, get some chemical symbols, you must learn use mysticism. Ordinary people can't understand it, and he will feel high-end. Okay. Lu Feng's marketing method is definitely ahead of its time now. Nowadays, TV commercials are all about shooting a factory, asking someone to hold the product and directly say what to buy, which is very simple. If the current marketing is a simple girl, then Lu Feng is an old hooligan. This canned food doesn't seem to be selling well, Gao Jiwei whispered. According to the sales volume of snacks in the factory, the sales volume of canned food is so big today. Gao Jiwei has worked for two companies, one is Wahaha and the other is GMA Food. The products of these two companies are in a state of crazy sales, and these two companies are the only ones in the country. 1.4 million bottles, it is estimated that the whole people are well off. Don't worry, let the advertisement fly for a while, everything will be done tomorrow, get off work early. Lu Feng stood up and packed his things. Lu Feng estimates that the sales volume of small cans is around 30 million bottles, because this year's Wahaha nutrient solution is also the same amount. 16 factories produce these, as well as small snacks and products that will be developed later. The area of the 16 factories has been developed, which is enough to support tens of billions of food groups. Lu Feng's design for GMA Food is based on the requirements of 30 years later. After 7 o'clock in the evening, the lights in Wahaha's conference room were still on. The senior management already knew that the 2 days were not peaceful. It seemed that it was not a matter of the market, but a matter of competitors. The meeting is over, the marketing department will get things done, and notify the agent over there to do it. Mr. Zhong stood up and his face was not good looking, and he left the office directly. Everyone was murmuring about it. Originally, the production kept up this year, but I didn't expect to kill Chen Yejin halfway through. I'm afraid some have been busy recently, especially the marketing, public relations, and publicity departments. Early the next morning, on the way to the factory, Lu Feng bought a newspaper, but he didn't see the effect of his casting, but was bombed by the other party first. City Daily, the headlines on the front page are printed with huge words, Wahaha is coming, are you ready? Lu Feng flipped through several newspapers in the newspapers and magazines, all of them were like this. The boss smiled and said, smoking a cigarette, it's all like this today, don't flip it, you can look at the second page, this is all bought and made by the rich boss. In the advertisement, there is a line of small characters below, which is very interesting. Lu Feng took a look, and there was a line of small characters at the bottom, which read, I'm here, are the local small food companies ready? I've never heard of this Wahaha, the name is interesting. Company in the south, have you ever bought that nutrient solution for your grandson? Is it delicious? It's delicious, but the canned food of GMA Foods is very delicious recently. It melts in your mouth and is just right for children. What does that line of small print mean? What can there be, for GMA Foods? Mr. Jin Yong said Jianghu, what is Jianghu? Where there are people, there are Jianghus. There are not only people in the business world, but also interests. The illustrated kind. I look. 7 or 8 big men formed a pile and turned into curious babies. Seeing this group of people look like this, Lu Feng muttered something unethical, and threw the money at the booth and got into the car with a newspaper. At the same time, a similar scene was staged on the streets of Hangzhou thousands of miles away, except that a group of people gathered around and muttered, what the hell is this GMA Food doing? I really didn't see it. When Lu Feng arrived at the factory, he put the newspaper on the table and thought about it for a while. After everyone went to work, they all called to the office. It has already started. What we need to do next is to firmly grasp the local market, and then find a way to expel Wahaha. Lu Feng smashed the newspaper on the table and said solemnly, "It can't be because it is a baby. If I don't clean it up, I can't get into its market for a day, and it has to get out of my market." In the morning, I received a call from Du Kafeng. Some of their agents in Xiaoshan had problems. The products were seized, saying that they failed the random inspection. Understood, Lu Feng was expecting this kind of result, and the other party said that if he wanted to be real, that would be death. Report it to the local Industry and Commerce Bureau, and investigate if necessary. Even if there is no evidence, the product will be detained for a period of time. Lu Feng looked at the crowd and said, "For small canned food, we must vigorously promote it locally, and the market share must increase. I will run the market in person," Mr. Lu can rest assured, the manager of the marketing department assured. In Wahaha's office, newspapers have been placed on the table, and there is also an entertainment newspaper. The signing company of the Four Heavenly Kings has discovered the endorsement of GMA Food. It is said that they are going to sue. Because at this time, the Four Heavenly Kings just revealed that the wind was about to leave the contract company. Some small newspapers privately said that this was the job of the Four Heavenly Kings to find their way and take over privately. Anyway, the four characters of GMA Food were very hot. Mr. Zong looked at the newspaper. He knew what Lu Feng wanted to do. He wanted to use the lawsuits with celebrities back and forth to gain popularity through constant exposure. In the first hand, GMA Food has been driven out of the local area, and the next step is the second hand. He made an appointment with the local newspaper in the morning. If Lu Feng, the Four Heavenly Kings, can rub it off, he can rub it. He wants to help the Four Heavenly Kings to file a lawsuit, and at the same time, he wants to scold unscrupulous companies like GMA Foodstuffs. In the morning, the marketing department went to the Industry and Commerce Bureau to report it, but it was rejected. Although GMA Food is very big in the local area, it is not as big as Wahaha in the local area, and its influence is limited. When eating in the cafeteria at noon, Gao Jiwei said that he should go for a run, but Lu Feng stopped him, "So let's go by himself, he wants to make Wahaha feel the pain." Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 132. After 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Feng called the city office and made an appointment for a dinner in the evening. The outside world has already felt the smell of you coming and going between the two. The food industry has been talking about it in private. This is the first time that two large companies have competed. However, some small companies in the industry have heard that GMA Food is very good. Money. What kind of boss, what kind of enterprise, what kind of factory director will naturally have? Every place is privately saying that the boss of GMA Foods is not simple, and he is extremely rich. Some people say that he is the son of the big boss of Xiangjiang, some people say the son of a big boss. The styles of the 6 factories are similar. Anyway, they are all according to what Lu Feng said: pomp, or pomp, various activities, banners, endorsements by big stars, and some local leaders were invited to cut the ribbon when they opened. Take a photo, take a group photo, and then put the photo at the door. Any company introduction, what is backed by a huge consortium, and what is the leader's platform, he can get everything he can get, and put it all on the corridor where ordinary employees enter the factory, plus some private rumors. Not long after the Liuliajia factory started production, all kinds of rumors were flying all over the sky. If such a business model was put in 30 years, it would definitely be a liar enterprise, but now people have no knowledge and are all fooled. Without money, there is no corporate culture, and without corporate culture, it is impossible to unite people's hearts. This model is especially the easiest way to unite people's hearts. It makes ordinary employees feel confident and feel that their company is an invincible existence. In the public opinion atmosphere where the 6 factories are located, GMA Food definitely has the upper hand. It is a free advertisement, especially when the brand establishes a noble image, it is much easier. After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Feng put some documents aside, stood up, and said, "You can deal with these, and let them put the sales data here for me today, you know." "What are you doing?" "Go eat." "Where are you going?" Zhang Fengxia lost a lot of weight in the past few days. The food in the cafeteria was average, except for potatoes. "Tianyu Hotel, where can I go?" Lu Feng sorted out his briefcase. "You take me there, I'll be in charge of eating, and I won't say anything. I want to go out to eat by myself. Every day after get off work, it's past 9 o'clock in the evening, and the restaurants are closed." Zhang Fengxia felt a little pitiful. For the first time, she felt work is so hard. "Don't talk nonsense. If there is any link that is not suitable for children, you can organize the information." Lu Feng made sure that he had everything, and walked out of the office. In Tianyu Hotel, several etiquette ladies bowed in unison, "Welcome. Mr. Lu, it's been a long time." The lobby manager saw Lu Feng with a smile on his face, and greeted him. "Mr. Lu looks like someone who made a lot of money." "Yes, I'm really lucky to be able to see you again. Maybe in the future it will be the third floor and the third floor of the bodyguard." "A lot of talk." Lu Feng looked at her and said, "Set up a private room, and a few directors will come in a while." "Don't worry, I will definitely take care of you." The lobby manager hurried upstairs and said, "Would you like to call a few people to accompany you?" "Don't worry, your words are absolutely sweet and not cold." "Are they coming to eat?" Lu Feng asked. "It depends on the person. In front of some people, you can be honest. You are such a big boss. You don't have enough food for those people. You are still pretending to be here with me." The lobby manager was full of smiles. "The way you understand. You can do things without spending that kind of money." Lu Feng pushed the door open and entered the private room. Without looking at the menu, he said, "Just prepare a table for a banquet at a medium price. Get 4 or 5 bottles of wool yanjai." Half an hour later, people came one after another. Although Lu Feng didn't deal much with these people, he was quite skilled. Mayor Wang Huifei, Industry and Commerce Bureau Lin Bing, Market Supervision Bureau Zhao Pengfei, and several directors and secretaries. What, 7 or 8 people gathered at a table? Wang Huifei smiled at Wu Yanjai and said, "Mr. Lu is in trouble. The newspapers of the past 2 days are really magical. I don't understand a little bit. It's like a child playing a house. I told you a long time ago not to eat. There are wine and vegetables. I'm not wrong." After Lin Bing finished speaking, everyone burst into laughter. Sometimes you have to be sincere. It's only when your boss speaks out. What's the point of sending a soldier? Zhao Pengfei took a bite of the dish and said, "It's like we are your subordinates." "Don't dare." Lu Feng picked up the glass and said, "To tell the truth, sitting here, I'm in awe. I'm just a businessman. I'm stupid and can't handle things. I drink one first, and it's a self-punishment. After drinking it all, it was exchanged for a few good sounds. Some things are well known to everyone. If you can come today, it means that things are done." Zhao Pengfei's remarks just now are obviously dissatisfied with Lu Feng. Subordinates like to call. It's nothing more than a face problem. After drinking 3 dishes and 5 flavors, Lu Feng's drinking is a bit over the top. These uncles are all red, obviously they are more than a pound. Everyone should know about the recent events, and the newspapers have also read it. To be honest, GMA Foods has not been easy to develop until now. The market is like this. One mountain does not allow 2 tigers. We distribute goods there. Qualified, the goods are all detained. Lu Feng briefly explained the whole thing. Everyone present, look at me, I look at you, no one spoke. "Mr. Lu, times have changed, and now it is a free market economy, and our units cannot interfere. Yes, you see, you invite us to dinner, we do things for you, what's the point? Something will happen. Yes, if you don't do anything, you can eat this meal and drink this wine. We are friends. It's no problem to invite friends to dinner, but in general, the taste will change. Lu Feng felt that he was being overcharged. He took a deep breath, lit a cigarette, and said, GMA Foods has not paid less tax last year. We are on the same boat. If GMA develops well, I am sure supporting places, donating a library, a gym, etc. are trivial. Mr. Lu, are you drinking too much? Wang Huifei scratched his head and said, it's like this, our city and the provincial and national highways have not yet been connected. If you want to get rich, build roads first. If you can't go out, you won't be able to get rich. There is the problem of education. The conditions of rural primary schools are very poor, there is a lack of desks, chairs, and benches, and the road between towns. Stop, stop, stop. Lu Feng hurriedly made a pause with his hand and said, Mayor Wang, don't make a list for me. Well, I'm not opening a factory outside. At the end of the year, I can let us pay some of the taxes from those factories, and I will pack the children's tables, chairs, and benches. You will definitely be remembered by people for a lifetime, and I will sing praises to you. The premise is that GMA Foods must be alive before the end of the year. Xiaolin, Xiaozhao, you have to do something. It's a big deal for some children's food in the market to be inspected. What should I do if the child is eaten? Yes, work mistakes. I'll give you a toast. Lu Feng hurriedly took the cup and took a sip. 8 people, all 10 bottles of liquor bottomed out. It was already 11 o'clock in the evening. Lu Feng's face was flushed, he felt the whole person was fluttering, he kept smoking, and told himself to wake up. I have arranged for the Monopoly ballroom to dance in a while. Lu Feng stood up and said politely. No, go back. It's very late, Mr. Lu should rest early. Gone. Lu Feng escorted him downstairs, and a group of people from the lobby manager followed him. They were polite for a long time, shaking hands and saying goodbye to each other. After getting into the car, Lu Feng was a little unsteady, and the lobby manager behind him screamed and rushed to support him. Mr. Lu, are you all right? Hurry up and come in, can you drive back here? 7 or 8 girls hurriedly helped Lu Feng back to the lobby, found a few sticks of glucose and poured it down, and he was already a little unsteady. How about this? Why don't you carry us to the dormitory? Just as Lu Mingxia is going home, the bed is vacant. Send it to my room, the manager said. Lu Feng listened to the chattering in his ear, and his brain hurt. He could hear that if he didn't go home tonight, something would definitely happen, and he hurriedly said, call. Who are you calling? When Lu Feng took the phone, only his office number was left in his mind, and he actually picked it up when he called it. Who? Come on, pick me up. 10 minutes later, Zhang Fengxia came on a motorcycle from the factory. Seeing that Lu Feng was so drunk, she said with some disgust, if you can't drink, don't drink. What can you do? He doesn't want to drink either. Can he drink with the boss? People are happy. The manager looked at her, not Lu Feng's wife, and asked, you're not Mr. Lu's wife, who are you? Wife, can't you? Zhang Fengxia dragged her to the car, but she couldn't move it at all. As soon as he walked out of the hotel door, he vomited frantically, and after tossing for more than an hour, everyone carried him in the back row of the car. The motorcycle was temporarily kept by the hotel, and Zhang Fengxia drove the car downstairs. Zhang Xiaoyan was frightened when she saw Lu Feng like this, and burst into tears on the spot. What's the use of crying? To solve the problem, Zhang Fengxia looked at her speechless. This is how to do it. He's not dead, forget it, I can see that we can't carry it upstairs, let's go to the hospital. Zhang Fengxia got into the car after she finished speaking. Lu Feng woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, with fluid in his hands and a little pain in his head. Zhang Xiaoyan was lying on the side of the bed, and Zhang Fengxia was lying on the bed next to him, sleeping soundly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 133. Lu Feng pushed Zhang Xiaoyan lightly, and the other party was startled. When he opened his eyes, he found that Lu Feng had woken up with a happy expression on his face, and asked, "Isn't it uncomfortable? Why do you drink so much?" "I don't want to drink either, just lay down on the bed for a while." Lu Feng suddenly remembered something and asked, "How many more people are you at home?" "I'll ask Sister Sun to help me watch, it's alright." "That's good, you can lie down on the bed." "I can't sleep, sit down for a while." Lu Feng persuaded him for a while, before Zhang Xiaoyan just lay down on the bed and fell asleep. The night outside said goodbye to the drowsiness. With a hint of blue light, Lu Feng sat on the edge of the bed and stared blankly. He put a hand on Zhang Xiaoyan's calf, and he felt an indescribable peace of mind. After 8 o'clock in the morning, the city's multi-department joint raid conducted a random inspection of children's food on the market. Wahaha's nutritional solution was accused of failing the sampling inspection. At present, a decision to seize the product has been made, and it will be sent to the laboratory later. Comprehensive inspection of packaging. At the same time, it also cracked down on more than a dozen unqualified black workshops and seized a batch of illegal equipment. It was almost 9 o'clock when Lu Feng returned to the factory. Although he had sobered up, his legs were still weakened by the after-effects of drunkenness. Zhang Fengxia yawned and walked in and said, "The factories over there have been collecting statistics, and I am too tired." "What are you tired of?" "The snoring was loud all night, and the statistics are finished," Lu Feng asked. "I'm not a boss like you. I'm a little girl. If you're an animal, you'll be short of the data of the fourth factory. Otherwise, you won't be in control there," Zhang Fengxia said angrily. There was a knock on the door, but Lu Feng didn't lift his head and said, "Come in." Gao Jiwei walked in. He wanted to take a look at the two of them. He heard that they were both yawning, and Zhang Fengxia was also supporting Lu Feng, and Lu Feng acted like a fake. Rumors have been circulating in the factory for a long time, especially the position of secretary, and now it is really, exactly the same as a lover. The market supervision cha-ha-ha-ha, it has been deducted. Gao Jiwei sat down and asked, "What's wrong?" "I drank too much. I didn't have the wine from last night, so I can have the efficiency today. I drank it directly into the hospital," Lu Feng said helplessly. "Ah," Gao Jiwei was very surprised, and said, "Don't drink like this in the future. There are special people in this kind of wine bureau to accompany the leaders, and they are all 3 or 4 kilograms. You can't drink to death when you serve it yourself. You are in charge of the meetings in the morning. I don't care, just lie down for a while." Lu Feng leaned back on the chair and rubbed his temples with his hands. "Tell those factories and let them get in touch with the local leaders, kawahaha a bit." Lu Feng knew that those places would not be too cooperative. He just wanted to get stuck, even a few days, a month or 2 would be enough. Gao Jiwei looked a little embarrassed, hesitated, and said, "Mr. Lu, we don't need to do this. I don't think it should be too violent. I know Zone, he is a ruthless person. It's like I'm not a ruthless person. It just so happens that with so many actions today, I have to figure out where he will move next." Lu Feng took a look at the sales report. "I bought more than 70,000 bottles of canned food yesterday, and Lu Feng was quite satisfied with this data. The market has not yet fully rolled out, this data is normal." Seeing that he was so determined, Gao Jiwei could only shut up, and asked Lu Feng to sign some documents in the factory that he needed to sign, and then went to work on his own. Wahaha products were detained, and the agent immediately called the headquarters. Within half an hour, the specific situation had been put on the desk, and even some agents had local power, and they also received news that the people of GMA Foods reported or invited to dinner. Yes, Mr. Zong looked at the document with an ugly face, and said solemnly, "The young man has a very promising future, and he has a lot of skills." A few minutes later, several executives entered the office. "First of all, contact the 4 heavenly kings, they will pay half, we will pay half, sue him, then contact the newspaper, and make a big deal of it for me, and then. New products are accelerating and will be launched within this month. No problem. Be sure to keep an eye on their products. This small can is really delicious. From my point of view, the product strength is there, so we must seize the market in this area." In the afternoon, the entertainment industry exploded, and Wahaha joined forces with the 4 heavenly kings to defend their rights. This was a dream combination. All kinds of paparazzi, magazine reporters, and gossip reporters flocked here. At the same time, more calls were made to the various factories of GMA Foods, hoping to respond. Lu Feng was moving around at the office door. The manager of the marketing department hurried over here. When Lu Feng saw him like this, he already knew that something had happened, something big had happened. "What's wrong?" Lu Feng shouted. "Mr. Lu, Wahaha came out on behalf of the 4 heavenly kings and said that we were infringing, and the phone numbers of all the factories were about to explode. Tomorrow our 3 companies will definitely be the headlines, and we are going to be sued by lawyers." 4 heavenly kings. Zhang Fengxia stuck her head out of the office and wondered, why did we provoke people from heaven? "It's the 4 heavenly kings who sing," Lu Feng said angrily. "Should we respond? If this matter is not handled well, I feel that it is easy to offend fans. I found 4 people from the factory and said that we originally used the 4 heavenly kings in the factory, but they misplaced the promotional photos when printing the promotional photos, apologized, and sincerely invited the 4 heavenly kings to speak for us." "Okay, I'll do it right now." "Come back," Lu Feng said, moving his body. "Don't let them withdraw, the sign will continue to be displayed, and tomorrow we will tell the public that we have privately negotiated with the 4 kings. If the other party still fights back, we will say that we have been deceived. I just found a photo of someone and released it, and said that this person was talking to us and paid an endorsement fee." The manager of the marketing department looked at Lu Feng blankly. Although he was his own boss, he still felt that Lu Feng was really a rogue, and this method would make people angry. "Wahaha messed with me today, and tomorrow you will find me a newspaper or TV station, staring at Wahaha's nutritional solution and calling me. They don't promote pure natural, they say that there are flavors in it, and the nutritional solution has been promoting appetizers to treat children who don't eat. Just ask him if this kind of thing is medicine or food. Ruthless. Too ruthless. The main function of the nutrient solution is to give children an appetizer, and there are some hawthorn, red dates, honey, etc. in it. Once it is classified as a drug, it will be completely useless. Also, this month, I will assign tasks to the marketing departments of the major factories. Before the end of the month, 700,000 bottles of small cans will not be sold. All sales from cities to rural areas are opened. I'll go back to the meeting right now. Are you energized?" Zhang Fengxia walked out with a glass of water and asked, "You're too cruel. It feels like you're going to kill someone completely." "It's not certain who kills who." Lu Feng was drinking water. Wahaha's nutrient solution was indeed defined as a drug, but it was just a drug. Then Add Calcium Milk was launched, and the product broke out. In the afternoon, Lu Feng sat in a daze. He kept putting himself in the position of President Zong and thinking about how to deal with him. For a new brand, attacking product positioning is definitely a very good means. The small can's external publicity comes from overseas technology, overseas standards, and even the oranges selected for the obscure publicity are from overseas, and there is an overseas laboratory team for nutritional support to position it as a high-end product. If all of these prove to be false, it will be a fatal blow to the product positioning of the small can. It will become a product that tests people's IQ, and buyers will not feel envious or even ridiculed by others. Lu Feng sat up abruptly, and his whole body broke out in a cold sweat. His weakness was too fatal. He stood up and hurried to Gao Jiwei's office. He found that there was no one there. Going to the conference room and opening the door, everyone's eyes instantly focused on Lu Feng. "Mr. Lu, is something wrong?" Gao Jiwei wondered. "Come out." Gao Jiwei came out and asked, "What's wrong?" "How about a business trip now?" Lu Feng asked. "Ah. What's the matter, in such a hurry?" "The loophole is a loophole in my product positioning design. Now we need a laboratory and a group of foreigners. There may be a large number of reporters to interview in the past few days. As for overseas laboratories and overseas technologies, let them go check it out." Lu Feng looked at Gao Jiwei and asked, "Which city do you think is better?" It took Gao Jiwei a long time to realize that the laboratory or something was originally just a bluffing word for product promotion. No one would take it seriously. Now it is tit for tat. Once the product positioning is shaken, it will be over. Shenzhen, there are many foreigners there. I am familiar with that. I was in charge of the Wahaha market before. Okay, I'll take you away. Go to the airport next door to see if there are any tickets." Lu Feng took out his jackets from the office, and the two hurried out of the factory. At 7 o'clock in the evening, a plane bound for Shenzhen rushed into the sky. At the same time, GMA Foods also responded to the outside world. Major newspapers and magazines flocked to them. Some sensitive newspapers had already sensed something and began to use commercial title of war. The commercial war under the free market competition has broken out, and there is no way to distinguish between the good and the bad. The next morning, whether it is TV or print media, it is the matter of the four heavenly kings. Now the four of them are absolutely responsible for the traffic, and Wahaha and GMA Foods are obviously catching the four people and attracting attention. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 134. The popularity has already risen, and people are basically talking about it in the streets. Wahaha already has a certain market foundation, especially in the south, but GMA food is really popular. Especially for small canned products, many people understand for the first time who produce the small canned products. This day, the sales of small cans have skyrocketed, word of mouth has been rising, and local manufacturers have pushed out various advertisements. Mr. Zhong thought that this punch would make Lu Feng embarrassed. He didn't expect to be dragged down by a sloppy word. He apologized very sincerely, and said that the temporary worker had mistaken the photo, and the temporary worker had been fired. "I hope to cooperate with the four heavenly kings and have already negotiated privately." However, Zhong sent someone to call, but no one talked to them at all. He had already prepared materials for a press conference, and was preparing to sue at the same time. Zhong felt that Lu Feng was very slippery, and he would be tricked by him. Once the lawsuit is filed tomorrow, with the fame of the four heavenly kings, there will be another wave of front-page headlines. He feels that the locations of the factories under Lu Feng's will probably cause some trouble even if Wahaha is not directly detained. He had to sting Lu Feng, or else GMA Foods would really grow up by making such a gag. The small cans were bought back as soon as they came on the market, and they did various decompositions. The R/U0026D department had to study not only its own new products, but also its competitors. Yes, if there is a problem, report it immediately. This kind of thing is normal for major factories, not to mention now, it will be normal operation in 30 years, killing the opponent is to make yourself happy. The advertising department studied the promotion of GMA Foods and found that the exaggeration was too great. It sorted out some promotional materials and submitted them to the office. Zone had an idea after reading it, and called the advertising department to inform them of a meeting. For a few days, the two companies were ridiculed in the words of major media, and they also set fire to the entertainment industry. Such sturdy combat effectiveness has opened the eyes of some state-owned enterprises and small enterprises. It can be said to be fatal, and neither of the two parties is losing money. At present, GMA Foods is making a lot of money, and some food companies even bought a lot of small cans for research. There are discussions in the streets. State-owned enterprises and private enterprises are also discussing. I think this GMA food is boring. According to the newspaper, it is a company that has been established for less than a year. But I heard that the background is big. How big is the background? If the background is really big, it is impossible to fight. It is only when everyone's background is almost the same. That's right. I don't think GMA food is good. The four heavenly kings have not figured it out, so people will seize the opportunity. Really? This GMA food is a bit interesting. High leverage and high market risks are all supported by policies. It is playing drums and passing flowers. Do you think he is an investor or a speculator? This type of person is suitable for being left on Wall Street. If you succeed, you are an investor, and if you fail, you are a speculator. It's a bit novel to touch porcelain leading companies and celebrities for marketing. Is it novel? People in the United States often play this way, but I can tell that the owner of GMA Foods is a man who has seen the world and has led the domestic business community for many years in business knowledge. This kind of person fits the free market. Yes, he doesn't have much room for development in a state-owned enterprise, but the market's learning ability is very strong. He has played this trick today, and tomorrow the streets will be full of this trick. Then do you think he won? He can't win, and he can't lose either. Look at it. It's going to be a riot for a while. During this time, the two of them have to do their best. For 2 consecutive days, there was a lot of uproar in the entertainment industry. The signing companies of the four heavenly kings said that GMA Foods did not seek them, did not compensate them, and did not reach a settlement agreement. GMA Foods quickly ran out, another set of Tai Chi, and fired a few temporary workers, successfully occupying the front page headlines. For 2 or 3 days, small cans have successfully sold 100,000 bottles, and already have a certain market foundation. With repeat customers, especially in the local area, it has become the #1 sales in the canned category. Lu Feng has been waiting for Gao Jiwei's call for the past few days. He has been there for 3 or 4 days, and there is no news at all. He can feel that Wahaha has been a little quiet for the past day or two, which is not a good thing. Lu Feng's intuition told him that the other party must have discovered the marketing loophole in product positioning. Everything in the factory was stable, and Lu Feng sat in the office in a daze. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the phone rang suddenly, which seemed a little awkward in the office. "Hey, who is it?" "Mr. Lu, it's me, Gao Jiwei. The matter is over. I rented a laboratory and found more than 20 foreigners, some of whom are even scientific researchers." Lu Feng breathed a sigh of relief. With a smile on his face, he said, "That's good, arrange a reliable person over there, come back soon." "Mr. Lu, I want to go home by the way." "It's quite close to home." "Ken." After hanging up the phone, Lu Feng was in a better mood, and whistled out of the office. Gao Jiwei hung up the phone, bought the ticket and flew to Hangzhou on the same day. As soon as he got home, he met his old colleague downstairs and said hello. The other party is now the director of Wahaha's advertising department, and it is not bad. In less than an hour, Mr. Zone had already learned that Gao Jiwei was back. In the conference room, the report document on the table had been written in great detail. This was definitely a heavy blow. If Gao Jiwei could be added, it would be a fatal blow. Get a table of meals at night, whoever of you has a good relationship with him, please invite a guest, and I will go when the time comes. Then leave it to me, we are neighbors, Li Zhensong said. Gao Jiwei's sudden return was definitely a surprise for his wife. The family of three was extremely happy. They were preparing to cook some hard dishes at night when Lao Li next door knocked on the door. What's wrong? Just to see you come back, let's go out to eat, don't cook it at home, I ordered hangbang dishes. There's no need to be extravagant, it's good to be at home, you can come to my house to eat, Gao Jiwei's wife said. It's mainly because I made a decision. Now that Lao Gao is in the north, there are few opportunities to eat, so let's walk around. Gao Jiwei also wanted to go out and be happy. He drank a little and agreed. When the two families arrived at the restaurant, the food had just been served, and a surprised voice sounded next to him, "Oh, it's such a coincidence that you are here too." Gao Jiwei turned his head to look and saw that Zong Zong's face froze. Although a long time had passed, he still felt a little embarrassed and hurriedly lowered his head and did not speak. Is President Gao also here? Our two families are having a meal. Are you here too? Hurry up and eat together. It's just a couple of chopsticks. It doesn't matter if you eat, just have a drink with Mr. Gao. I haven't seen you for a while. President Zone, don't be like this, don't dare to be. It's been almost 9 months since we left last year. To tell the truth, I was surprised when you resigned, but I still reserved a place for you. I didn't expect that the small factory could be managed by you to the scale it is today. Zong raised his glass and said, I'll do it first. No, Gao Jiwei felt like he was being driven by a duck on the shelves, but he could only suffocate and said, I don't have much credit for that factory, it's mainly President Liu. That Lu Feng can't do it? He is a young man. He can't do anything. Without you, he couldn't be where he is today. GMA Food has 80% of your credit. Yes, I also think it's mainly you, Mr. Gao, your ability is very strong. Yeah, thanks for the compliment. Look at how busy you are and how much you've done, how much does it cost you a month? Li Zhensong asked curiously. More than 300. It's only over 300, Li Zhensong was shocked, and he said, you do the most and get the least money. If I were you, I would definitely not do it. It's really a little bit. Most of the credit for this factory is you. When Gao Jiwei was here before, the two of them didn't hold him so much. After thinking about it a little, they immediately understood that the two of them were playing tricks on him here. To tell the truth, I really don't want to do it anymore. Gao Jiwei slammed his chopsticks on the table with a displeased expression. Back then, a small factory gave me this amount of money, but I also put up with it, and now it has grown so much, which aspect of this factory is not my hard work, and the result? It's all people, he has become a rich man. That is to say, if I were you, I couldn't bear it. This is the problem of the mind of the entrepreneur. Since you have said it, I also spread it out and said that the position has been reserved for you, you can come back at any time, and you can give you shares. Now you know the situation, and this is the case. It looks like, if you build it up with your own hands, you can destroy him with your own hands, you can't leave it to him. Yes, you have this ability. I need your cooperation now. Absolutely cooperate, I haven't been holding back for a day or two. If he dares to point at my nose and yell, I'll let him know what regret is, Gao Jiwei shouted. You didn't say. Gao Jiwei's wife wondered how her man had become like this. Shut up, what do you know? That's it, the small canned product is definitely the same as the propaganda, a foreign research team. How is it possible? He found a few people to mix and match, all of them are chemicals, I'm afraid of eating dead people, Gao Jiwei said with disgust. In this case, we only need to report him for false propaganda and misleading consumers. As long as you testify, everything will be fine. Don't worry, when you need me, I will testify, let him go bankrupt, and let him know who helped him make so much money. Okay, you eat first, I'll go back first. Mr. Zone, walk slowly. Gao Jiwei waved his hands and bowed his head to eat. His wife was no longer angry. Why did you say that? Didn't you say that Mr. Lu was very benevolent and righteous last time? Could it be fake for giving shares or something? Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 135. The meal was fast, and Gao Jiwei found a reason to go home early. As soon as the door was closed, his wife asked, "Didn't you say that Mr. Lu gave you shares?" "You lied to me." "I didn't lie to you, I'll give you the shares." "Just listen to what you just said, don't go out and talk nonsense." Gao Jiwei walked over to the phone. "You lied to him." "Sure, I'll call President Lu now." Gao Jiwei picked up the phone and wanted to call the factory, but no one answered, so he had to call home. Lu Feng's family of 3 just finished eating and watching TV. Lu Feng was half lying on the sofa, with his head resting on Zhang Xiaoyan's thigh, holding Duo in his arms. From time to time, he had to hold her hand to prevent her from pulling his ears or something. Jingle bell. "Dad, the phone is ringing." Duo called. "It's so late, who is it?" Zhang Xiaoyan muttered. "It's not a relative borrowing money again, right? Give me the phone and I'll slap him for you." Lu Feng turned over and said. Zhang Xiaoyan took the phone and pressed the speakerphone. "I'm Lu Feng, who are you?" "It's so late," Lu Feng said. "Mr. Lu, it's me, Gao Jiwei." "Ah," Lu Feng was a little surprised, sat up and said, "Why are you calling me so late?" Gao Jiwei explained the matter in its entirety, and it seemed that the other party was fully prepared, and instead of reporting it locally, he went to the capital. Zhang Xiaoyan saw that he was talking about something, with a solemn face, turned off the TV, and went into the room with Duo. After listening to Lu Feng, he took a deep breath. Sure enough, there was no movement for the past 2 days, so he didn't hold back his farts. Lu Feng thought about it and said, "Tomorrow they will report the report, and you are responsible for explaining it." It happened that everything was arranged. The reporter goes to see, I will call to Kifeng tomorrow and ask him to question each other. After chatting for almost an hour, after hanging up the phone, Lu Feng sighed, "This situation is impossible to end within 3 or 5 months, stood up and went into the bedroom. Zhang Xiaoyan had already fallen asleep. Lu Feng walked to the bed and found that Duo was fast asleep, and reached out to pick her up. Zhang Xiaoyan didn't know what he wanted to do, so she glared and said, "It's been a few days, take a rest, I'm afraid you'll be tired." "Not tired." Although this period of time was very frequent, Zhang Xiaoyan still felt a little nervous while holding the quilt. She felt that Lu Feng seemed to want a child. Turning off the lights in the living room, Lu Feng made sure Duo didn't wake up, pushed the door open and entered the bedroom. The next morning, Duo stood outside the door angrily slamming on the door. She sleeps in her mother's arms every day, and wakes up on the sofa in the living room. "Stop knocking, you are also a big girl, go and help your mother make breakfast," Lu Feng said casually. You, what nonsense are you talking about?" Zhang Xiaoyan hurriedly found her pajamas, and it took a long time to find that she had been thrown on the ground, put it on her body, opened the door, and saw Duo's face full of anger. "I didn't do it, beat your dad." Duo walked towards Lu Feng angrily, climbed onto the bed and hit him with a small fist. Half an hour later, Zhang Xiaoyan made breakfast, leaned against the door and said, "Don't fight, let's have breakfast." "I didn't hit dad, my good dad." Seeing her like this, Zhang Xiaoyan couldn't help but laugh, and said, "I was bought so soon? Hurry up and eat." Lu Feng came out and saw that Zhang Xiaoyan's hands and feet were not very honest. The other party gave him a blank look and said, "What are you messing with, you rascal? You still blame me for your own vacuum." Lu Feng patted her. Zhang Xiaoyan walked out of the bedroom and sat down to look at Lu Feng. After hesitating for a while, she asked, "Do you want a child?" "No," Lu Feng shook his head repeatedly, "I just want to be comfortable." "Damn you, why are you talking nonsense in front of the child?" Zhang Xiaoyan said and pinched Lu Feng. Lu Feng grinned in pain. He really never thought about having a baby, and he must have been very busy in the past 2 years. If she is pregnant, someone will take care of her, she thought for a while and said, "Yeah. If you are pregnant, take measures next time." "I don't want to listen to you, maybe I'm already pregnant. Then I'll be born, I can't afford it." Lu Feng took a sip of the porridge and said, "We can also pay the fine." "The ghost gave you life, what should I do if it hurts to death?" Zhang Xiaoyan whispered. After dinner, Lu Feng sent Duo to the kindergarten, and when he arrived at the factory office, the day's materials were already laid out on the table, as well as some news from various aspects, and he also made a pot of tea. Lu Feng looked at such a neat table and was in a good mood. As soon as he sat down, Zhang Fengxia walked in. "It's getting better and better, and progress is very fast. In your current state, it's absolutely no problem to be a secretary in another big company," Lu Feng praised. "I want to be the boss. When will President Gao come back?" Zhang Fengxia came down and asked. "I won't be back for the time being." Lu Feng said a few words, gave some orders, picked up the phone on the table and called Duke Feng, and told him to take the lead in questioning the nature of Wahaha's nutrient solution. After hanging up the phone, I started to deal with things in the factory. According to the data gathered by all parties, the sales of small cans have stabilized at more than 90,000 bottles per day. From the perspective of all parties, it is only a matter of time before the sales blow up. At the financial meeting in the morning, Lu Feng briefly looked at the data. Currently, the gross profit of the 6 factories plus this one is about 700,000 yuan per day. At first glance, this data is staggering, but now GMA Foods has 8,400 employees, with a monthly salary of nearly 3 million yuan, a total of 500,000 yuan for various consumables. Water and electricity is not cheap, and the most important thing is debt. The latest debt data is 94.52 million, which is close to 100 million. The construction of several factories has started, and then there will be a steady stream of money. It is expected that at the end of April, according to the contracts signed with various local governments, factories, the first phase of the project must start. The cost of the first phase of these 6 factories is estimated to be more than 70 million yuan. This money was originally enough to support the second phase of the factory, but Lu Feng used the money to pay employees, buy assembly lines, rent venues, etc. There was a shortage of funds. Lu Feng was in a meeting and looked at the report with a look of indifference. He was going to move the money. The advancement of the small can was too slow. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Wahaha held a press conference to report GMA Foods advertisements to induce consumers, false advertisements, etc., and swore to reporters that GMA Foods small cans were blended in black workshops, and there was no nutrition at all, let alone what is the overseas laboratory, what is noble. The cost of a small can that is as high as 1 yuan is only 3 or 5 cents. As soon as the news came out, it swept the whole of China like a tornado, and TV stations all over the country rushed to report. I've never heard of the phone. I'm grateful that there are telephones and faxes in this era. Otherwise, some people will say what they want to say in the distance. Our general manager, Mr. Gao, is in Hangzhou. I put the address here. I hope you can give it to me. When the major newspapers send faxes, make it clear that he is waiting for you. We not only have laboratories overseas, but also in Shenzhen, with the participation of foreign researchers. Our small cans are appetizing, delicious, healthy, and are a bit more expensive, but compared to those on the market that don't even have labels, buy it's a healthy meal, especially for children, and if you have a bad stomach, you have to buy medicine, right? As for Wahaha reporting us, we will definitely face it, but I also have a question here. Their nutrient solution claims to have a miraculous effect on children who do not eat. Is this a medicine or children's food? If it is food, is this kind of promotion appropriate? If it's a drug, it's a 3-point poison. Du Kefeng talked to more than a dozen reporters for half an hour. He knew very well about his opponent's research. Lu Feng pointed him in a direction, and he was definitely going to die. At noon, the facts of the report on GMA food was spreading rapidly. There were connections between major newspapers and TV stations. You had to pay for reprinting each other's news, especially for such a big news, which was very valuable. Mr. Zone was very satisfied with the effect of this morning's press conference. The report letter has been sent to Beijing by post. As for whether there is a reply, I really don't know. He thought about calling Gao Jiwei out in the afternoon and putting a heavy dick. This time he was going to destroy all Lu Feng's confidence. No one answered the phone call. After several calls, Mr. Zone felt that something was wrong and called Li Zhensong. Mr. Zone, what's the matter? Is Gao Jiwei at home? Didn't I tell him to wait for the notice today? I'll take a look. Li Zhensong put the phone aside and opened the door and knocked on Gao Jiwei's door. Gao Jiwei's wife opened the door and asked, "What's the matter? Where's Mr. Gao? Yesterday we agreed, it's time to go to the factory." "What are you talking about? My old Gao is not at home." He closed the door as he spoke. Li Zhensong was stunned after closing the door. He reacted and slapped his thigh. With a cry, he turned his head and went home. He picked up the phone and said, "Mr. Zone, it's not good, that kid Gao Jiwei is cheating." "What?" Before Mr. Zone could hear what was said, a manager walked in and said, "Tu Kefeng from GMA Foods responded by saying that they have a laboratory in Shenzhen, and Gao Jiwei is still waiting in room 507 of the Tianhe Hotel. Take these reporters and make an appointment with the local TV station." Mr. Zone hung up the phone silently, his eyes were closed, and he leaned on the chair without saying a word. The atmosphere in the room was so dignified that one could not breathe. He has never seen Mr. Zone look like this. In the market, he has always been the existence of the dragon and the tail. Back then, the private enterprise was still a state-owned enterprise, or a mixed system. He swallowed the state-owned enterprise with one operation. Powerlessness. He beat me by half a trick. Zone opened his eyes and knew in his heart that he had made another wave of advertisements for him, and the sales of small cans could no longer be stopped. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 136. During the whole day, Gao Jiwei paid for air tickets to invite these reporters to go to the Shenzhen laboratory, and at the same time let the local TV station interview and film this wave of natural and life-threatening publicity. At the same time, a group of reporters who did not catch the free air tickets to Shenzhen again gathered around Wahaha to ask about the nutritional solution. The safety of children's food became the focus of everyone again, and they even interviewed the supervision of different regions. Wahaha held several internal meetings on this day and came to the conclusion that if nutrient solutions were classified as medicines, sales would definitely plummet. It is necessary to launch new products within the last week, and they must be positive in the market. Against Gamay Foods. And to launch products similar to small cans, the most important thing is, price wars, cut prices in the terminal market, give profits to agents, and at the same time suspend the advertising costs that are going to be invested in CCTV, disassemble the money, and use part of it for market advertising, marketing, etc., are partly used to drive price wars. They calculated that the capital flow of GMA Food was very fragile, breaking his capital chain. The 4 characters of GMA Food have become an absolute hot word in Shenzhen. Many people want to buy small cans, but unfortunately they can't buy them at all. This is the Pearl River Delta, there is no Lufeng's factory, and there is no place for small cans to survive. It has been almost a month. GMA Food and Wahaha cannot be said to be well known in China, but when they mention it, they all know that the two sides are red-eyed, and the blind can see it. Some important media began to publish articles with very intriguing titles, called, "Cooperation Can Lead to Win-Win Results." Today is March 29. The spring breeze has blown all over the land. Thousands of trees and pears bloomed overnight. Gao Jiwei was on his way back. There were a lot of documents on Lufeng's desk. After entering the door, he made a cup of tea for himself. Zhang Fengxia walked in and said, "There are a lot of things to do. Tomorrow, Wahaha's new product will be released, and the goods have been filled in the past few days. There is an internal source saying that they have prepared 70 million for a price war with us. Also, our reputation has been too great recently, making it difficult to negotiate with the subsequent factories. Those negotiating teams called yesterday and said they wanted to pay more, or even there are some to draw, and..." "Stop," Lufeng raised his hand to stop her from speaking. Anything made him feel difficult. Lufeng picked up the newspaper on the table and glanced at it. Regarding the report that he wanted to be a peacemaker, he threw it aside, opened the folder and asked, "Where did you talk about it?" "Taiyuan, the application was rejected on the grounds that there is a high risk." Zhang Fengxia took a folder next to it and put it in front of Lufeng and said, "Because of the lack of information, we pledged this factory to many places to get resources. Now the matter is so big, some newspapers reported our situation, and many people called to ask. The raw rice is cooked, tell them that if you want local employment and tax revenue, let me do it, or you will be arrested." Lufeng looked at the last few factories and thought about it. "It's really impossible to take Zhengzhou if one of the factories fails. I will give them 2, anyway, there is no shortage of factories now." Zhang Fengxia looked at him and felt that Lufeng was dancing on the tip of a knife, and said, "You are playing around with like monkeys. The properties of those factories are all mortgages, and they have been given to the bank. I don't mortgage the land. I mortgage the market. All my factories are running, and there is money every month. As for those teams who want to talk about money, let him get out." Lufeng looked at the contents of the document and pondered for a while. Said, "To change a group of people, we must convince the other party to believe us. This is enough, and the finances were calculated yesterday. We should have a shortfall of 20 million. It is almost 20 million for the assembly line, office furniture, and mess. The 6 factories in the early stage and the first phase of the factory cannot be postponed. Yesterday, several factory managers said that the wine that should be drunk has also been drunk, and they are afraid of you running away now." Zhang Fengxia looked at the contents of the document. If she were a local leader, she would like to shoot Lufeng now. 20 million, Lufeng took a deep breath. Immediately after that, there was the price war. As things are now, the follow-up local policies, even if they give funds, must be special funds. This money will not be used by Lufeng in other places. Zhang Fengxia knows the whole thing very well. Based on her judgment on the operation of business, this is a dead end. Lufeng's biggest advantage is that, with the help of attracting investment, based on this factory, he will pledge the game of Snake Eater. Next factory. Then he went out and said that he had 2 factories, like a greedy snake, the more he eats, the longer he eats. If it was before, he could delay the funds of the next 10 factories and divert it to these 6 factories. This amount of money is enough for him to fight Wahaha with his hands and feet, or even defeat Wahaha. The only competitor in the market was defeated, followed by market dividends, just like when Lufeng defeated Ren Qianbo, Profits rose rapidly. However, Wahaha is not Renkianbo, and he can't be defeated. Even at the beginning, it became known to the whole country, which naturally disturbed the subsequent 10 factories. What he used was nothing more than information asymmetry. The funding gap of 20 million may crippling his greedy snake. During this period of time, Zhang Fengxia has gained a lot. She even thinks that she has learned more than the 4 years of business school and is more practical, especially Lu Feng, who is typical of pragmatism. He has a very thorough understanding of the business model. What he is playing is leveraging the lever, eating all the food, and eating it all the way back. If it wasn't for such a big mess, he could keep eating it. In fact, Lu Feng used the real estate model many years later. I don't know how many real estates made their fortunes in this way. It was common for someone to use 1 million to move a piece of land, and then use a piece of land to move a real estate project with hundreds of millions of dollars. For one morning, Lu Feng spent the whole morning in the R/U0026D department. Rather than the R/U0026D department, it was Lu Feng who felt that they had a total of 17 ingredients, and they were very proficient in blending various products. A group of people hurriedly blended various flavors, milk, and food coloring together. Lu Feng looked at the color and nodded, "This color is good, I'll try it." After drinking, Lu Feng slammed his mouth, feeling that it was almost the same as the lactic acid bacteria he drank in the previous life, and thought for a while, adding some hawthorn, it lacks the hawthorn flavor, and the yogurt is fine, and the proportion of milk is increased a little, the taste of milk is strong. A little. Add some viscous agent, add some flavor, and I'll adjust it for you. More than a dozen people in the R/U0026D department have always been puzzled. They originally thought that going to work every day was a variety of experiments, but since they came to GMA Foods, it has been different. Every time a product is developed, Mr. Lu squatted and took a sip. The people present felt that he must have drank a lot of products and described some flavors, and these people adjusted according to the flavors he said. At 12:30, Gao Jiwei came back, went to the cafeteria and didn't find Lu Feng, asked Zhang Fengxia, only to know that he was in the R/U0026D department, and he hurried to the R/U0026D department. Before entering the door, he saw Lu Feng squatting on the ground, holding a test tube in his hand. He didn't know what was in it. He frowned as if drinking white wine, surrounded by 17 young men, watching him drink. Put a plate of peanuts on the ground, and a plate of pork head mixed with cucumbers. It is definitely a drinking scene. It's too informal, Gao Jiwei muttered, thinking to himself, such a R/U0026D picture must not be photographed by Wahaha people, otherwise high-end advertising will be useless. Mr. Lu, I'm back, everything over there has been sorted out, Gao Jiwei walked in and said. Lu Feng put down the test tube in his hand, nodded and handed it over, try it. Gao Jiwei took a sip, smashed his mouth and said, it's sweet and sour, it has the taste of Wahaha nutrient solution, but it's not that strong. Lu Feng knows that this is what he researched on the other side, named add calcium milk. Although Lu Feng has no formula, he has debugged a similar taste based on his feeling. This has an advantage and will not infringe. This should sell well. Is there a new product coming out? Yeah, the other party is going to fight a price war, have you heard? I heard a few things, but Mr. Li called me and said that there were more than 20 million loopholes in our funds, and the follow-up factory. Okay, this is the R/U0026D department. We don't talk about finance. Lu Feng looked at the crowd and said, put out the things that have been researched during this time. All of them have been debugged, and a row of test tubes are arranged in various colors, including lactic acid bacteria, add calcium milk, black tea, cola, and 7 or 8 products, such as Assam milk tea, green tea, rock sugar Sydney, etc., but the taste is wrong, but green tea is good for blending. The problem is that when you shake it, it looks like urine. Lu Feng feels that people today can't accept it. Black tea also has this problem. This, Lu Feng pointed to lactic acid bacteria and add calcium milk with his finger. After speaking, he felt that the two products were too few. If they were tested on site, luck would be good, they could be adjusted in 3 or 5 days. Bulging belly. Lu Feng suddenly thought of something. He picked up a test tube and ran to the faucet to pick up some water. After placing it on a piece, he said, "It's just these 3 products." "What? That tap water?" "What tap water? Can your child speak?" Lu Feng slapped the manager of the R/U0026D department with his hand and said, "This is called mineral water, mineral water. Get a filter during production and filter it. You guys will put this in the afternoon. Product features, communicate with the design department, I will hold a meeting for them in the afternoon and have dinner first." Gao Jiwei watched from the side and walked out with Lu Feng silently. On the way to the cafeteria, he couldn't help but said, "Mr. Lu, we can slowly find a solution for the shortage of funds." "No, the whole army is wiped out." Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 137. When Lu Feng entered the cafeteria, several executives passed by and greeted him. After ordering the meal, he sat down and asked, "Have you eaten yet?" "I have eaten outside. In this situation, I think we need to show our strength to the market. The southern market cannot enter. We need to stabilize the northern market. It is right to make more products. As long as the market has confidence, 2,000 won is really trivial. If you can't do it, just raise money." Gao Jiwei knew what he wanted to do, and said, "Wahaha is not Renqianbo, you can't do it, let's talk about it." "Who said I want to kill it?" Lu Feng said while eating. "You have learned a lot recently, but I don't know, we are now living on Wahaha, do you really think marketing is that simple? I still think the mineral water you mentioned just now is sloppy. You don't understand products, these are all high-tech, don't blindly join in." Lu Feng ate his meals. Gao Jiwei was amused by him. If he hadn't seen him squatting on the ground and drinking cup by cup, he would have really believed his evil and couldn't help laughing. "Don't frame me." "No frame for you, I expect to launch no less than 10 beverage products on the market in recent months, make large-scale profit concessions, let agents push, and conduct activities. We now have a shortfall of 20 million, it's all gaps anyway." Gao Jiwei had a bad feeling. He stared at Lu Feng with wide eyes, his heart was trembling at this moment, and he asked, "What do you mean, it's a gap anyway? How much is missing is not a shortage. Don't talk about making money now. We are a big business. As long as we are big enough, no one dares to let us go bankrupt easily. The problem now is, we can't be like the profits you made when you killed Renqianbo's factory and dominated the entire market. Competition is good, always remember, no matter how far you are from the first place, if you work with it, you will find that the companies in front of you are all dead. Only when you find an opponent can you surpass it. Yourself." For Gao Jiwei, Lu Feng's words are golden and good fortune. This is also the way for a company to survive. Those who have no goals and no competitors are all dead. Instead, those who fight to the death are alive and safe. In the afternoon, I held a meeting with the people in the design department to determine the packaging of the 3 products, and to allocate the raw materials for production as soon as possible. At the same time, it was announced that new products would be announced in the next few days. Some small newspapers are still criticizing each other, and they will even spread some rumors about their products, promotions, and even some rumors, but they have already dealt with it on the surface. Some big newspapers sold nationwide have begun to notice that the 2 companies actually released new products on the same day. Wahaha released a new product, which is suspected to replace the nutrient solution. There has been no response to GMA Foods' targeted proposal whether the nutrient solution belongs to medicine or food, and GMA Food is also deeply mired in public opinion. Foreign laboratories, and then there are rumors that the other party's capital chain is tight, and some people in the industry even pointed out that GMA Foods is on the verge of bankruptcy. Zhang Fengxia sorted out the newspaper and then read, "We want to obtain GMA food from the investment promotion offices of various places, how to obtain the qualifications, and how much land and policies have been obtained, but all departments are silent, and there are even rumors that the boss of GMA food is a certain illegitimate children." "It's all right," Lu Feng hurriedly told her to stop. He didn't expect that the current big newspapers would make such lace news for the sake of circulation, so he said, "We will start distribution today, right?" "Yes, Wahaha's new product is also on sale today. What is it called? Add calcium milk. I heard that the promotion is the same as the nutrient solution." "This kind of propaganda is a piece of shit," Lu Feng scoffed. "You keep talking about marketing, so how are you going to promote our new product? Isn't that the same old phrase, what is healthy, high-end or something?" Zhang Fengxia frowned and pondered for a while. "To be honest, I am by your side. After staying for such a long time, I feel that you are not very good in marketing, but you are very talented in deceiving people." Lu Feng laughed, stood up, took a glass of water for himself, and said, "Want to learn some real skills? Are you really capable? Look at me. Since you ask so, I'll show you my hand, in a few days." Lu Feng sat down and said, "By the way, let me tell you a truth, no matter what kind of marketing, the best marketing is to spend money, but how to spend money is an art." Zhang Fengxia felt that what he said was a bit metaphysical. Wahaha has been keeping an eye on Lu Feng's new product, and bought it back as soon as it went online, but when people drank the Yakult product they named, there was only one thought in their minds: isn't this humming add calcium milk? This is plagiarism, naked plagiarism. Hurry up and break it down and call the police. There are a total of 3 products, 1 bottle is tap water, and the remaining 2 bottles are add calcium milk with a heavy sour and sweet taste, and a bottle with a lighter taste. The police came and wanted to take away all the people in the R/U0026D department. There must have been someone leaking the secret. It went online on the same day and was copied. This is simply a new long incident. After the meeting, Mr. Zhong directly called the police and asked to seal up all the new products in the 6 factories of GMA Food, prohibiting the sale and production, and asked GMA Food to hand over the formula. Du Kefeng and other 6 factory directors stood up and refused the request at the first time, and the local police also said that they were under investigation. The news came so explosively that the atmosphere of public opinion exploded in an instant. All the media exaggerated it as if it was a big drama of commercial espionage. There was endless debate in the streets about whether GMA Foods copied Wahaha. Some people said it was just a coincidence. Lu Feng did not expect such a big reaction from Wahaha. He held a press conference and demanded the seizure of GMA Food. He even directly said that GMA Food was purely a cancer of the industry, and asked the whole industry to encircle and suppress it. More than 70 large and small enterprises responded that day. It is about to form an industrial alliance. Lu Feng called Du Kefeng and at the same time sent Gao Jiwei to be interviewed by reporters. Unexpectedly, a bigger melon exploded. After the interview, the reporter found that Gao Jiwei used to work at Wahaha, and his position was not low. Obviously, he may be the one who stole the formula. Wahaha has already called the police and filed a lawsuit in the local court. After receiving a call from Lu Feng, Du Kefeng told reporters that if he wants to sue us, he needs to go to the designated court where we are located. In the evening, several lawyers from Wahaha said that they would sue locally and let GMA Food come to Hangzhou. GMA Food said that we would not go, but come to my side to sue me if we have the ability. One afternoon, telephones and faxes were busy. What Lu Feng didn't expect was that this incident was actually on the news from 7 to 7:30. When Lu Feng was eating at home, watching the announcer on TV talking about it, he couldn't help laughing and crying. "Why did the news network broadcast?" Zhang Xiaoyan asked in surprise. "The factory has a conflict with others again." "Small thing, let's eat. It's all here, or is it a trivial matter?" "Eat and eat," Lu Feng didn't want to mention more. Lu Feng didn't take it seriously, but he didn't expect Gao Jiwei and the others to be scared to death after reading the news, and even Du Kefeng turned pale after reading it. "This matter is too much trouble, it has been tossing for so long, it is no longer a matter of plagiarism and market competition, and most importantly, the thunder of the 16 factories behind GMA Foods is about to explode. Zhang Fengxia has been staying in the hotel all the time, and she has just had a monthly subscription." Lying in bed and watching the news, the phone on the bedside table rang, and she picked up the phone and said, "Who is it?" "Guess who I am?" There was an old voice on the other end of the phone. "I guess it's Grandma." Grandma's laughter sounded on the other end of the phone. "You guessed it right. Grandpa, why are you free to call me?" "I'm not free, I just read the news. The factory you are in has been in the limelight recently. Grandpa told you, don't get involved too much." "Ah," Zhang Fengxia was a little surprised when she sat up. Grandpa was so cautious and really wanted to do something big, and said, "Is he jumping too far? At most, he will go bankrupt and liquidate, and the land and factories in the back are all there. You can't just look at business issues, but also the domestic situation. Now we are at an inflection point in history. He made such a big deal. Whether he was rich or was pulled out and shot, I don't know." Zhang Fengxia didn't expect the consequences to be so serious. After chatting with her grandfather for a while, she hung up the phone. Early the next morning, people in the entire factory were panicking. There were rumors everywhere that the factory was going to end, and everything from the factory buildings, machines, and those factories would be confiscated. Not to mention ordinary workers, even the top management were panicked. Lu Feng drove to the gate of the factory and saw people muttering in groups of 3 or 5. "The factory has regulations. It is forbidden to hang out outside during work. Don't spread rumors. We are not competing with Wahaha for a day or two. If you don't want to do it, you can leave," Lu Feng shouted loudly from the door. Everyone shut up one by one, stood up and walked to the factory. When he entered the factory, Lu Feng looked a little ugly. He walked to the production office and shouted, "The production director and the production manager will each deduct their wages for 3 days." When passing by the finance department, he pushed open the door and said, "Today, the finance and personnel department went to ask, if anyone wants to leave, they will pay their wages and leave as soon as possible. Whether it is management or ordinary workers, wages will be paid on the spot. Whisper to me." Lu Feng had just entered the office on the front foot, and Gao Jiwei walked in on the back foot, along with several executives. "Mr. Lu, things seem to be getting out of control. Today, many newspapers wrote scribbles, saying that I was lurking in Wahaha, and I was a commercial spy, and I was also prosecuted. To sue, it's okay to sue, come to the city to sue, and if you can win here, I think he's great." Standing at the door, Zhang Fengxia saw Lu Feng through the crowd, and was hesitant to tell him. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 138. Lu Feng clearly felt that everyone in the company was frightened by yesterday's battle, and many of them still didn't understand the law and felt that the factory was going to close down. "Notify all the factories that employees are not allowed to spread rumors in private, and set up a team of lawyers for me to issue legal statements to the public. We are not afraid of being sued, but the jurisdiction of the case must be on our side." Lu Feng looked at the large number of people on the table. Pile of financial documents frowning. What's going on in the market? How fast is the drug or the food going? We have submitted the relevant information to the relevant departments. Wahaha's original channel itself was smooth. This time, direct distribution is very simple, and this product has a good reputation. After our new product is launched, the sales volume is also good. Today, 3 products are launched, and the total sales volume should be 100,000. The manager of the marketing department said, "We recently communicated with Xiaoshan. The sampling inspection has been completed, and the product is no problem." The other party replied that it can be sold again within this month. I talked to the local agent today. Keep pushing forward, don't give up on those markets. Lu Feng looked at everyone and thought for a while, forget it, let's go to the conference room and talk. All department managers and general managers will go to the conference room. I'll make arrangements. Gao Jiwei turned around and said. Zhang Fengxia walked in, sorted out the folders and said, "Is this a big deal?" "Small issue. I think you'd better be careful." "It's okay." Lu Feng stood up and took out a document from the drawer and said, "You also go to the conference room." Oh. Lu Feng went to the conference room ahead of time, and followed one by one managers and supervisors walked in. Many of them were obviously not as good as before. There were 40 or 50 people sitting in the conference room, and many of them were looking at others, and their spirits were not right. "Be calm." Lu Feng picked up the folder and slammed the table several times, shouting, "It's all like an eggplant beaten by Shuang. Why? Come to me to play Lin Daiyu. I'll give you a minute. Time. I don't want to do it. I think the factory is going to close down. I'm afraid it will implicate you, and now I'll take my salary and leave." After Lu Feng finished speaking, he took out a cigarette from his trouser pocket and put it on the table, lit one and smoked it leisurely. For a while, the atmosphere in the conference room was a little depressed, and many people hurriedly sat up straight. "No one? Let's talk about it. Now is a critical time. Business itself is another kind of war. Now the horn of the war has been sounded. I admit that there is a shortage of funds, 20 million or more, but this war, if we don't win, we have nothing. I read the news yesterday and heard some rumors, and some people started to panic. I told you that I started a business. Do you know what it means to start a business? It's just a real knife and a real gun to do it with them. Once you've settled down, you'll have a dick in 2 months. What are you going to do to fight it? I won't tell you about products, marketing, relationships, and funds. I will tell you about courage today. I'm a major shareholder, so I don't panic." He shouted, "I saw you when I came in the morning, and I was so scared that I had diarrhea." The deputy director turned pale, and said very embarrassedly, "My wife said that I took the shares, and this factory is also mine. If something goes wrong, I will be arrested and put in jail. You are taking shares, not equity. If you want to go to jail, no one wants you. Don't be afraid, I will carry the sky when the sky falls. I think this is a good opportunity to train the team. In management, you must not only have the ability, but the most important thing is to have the courage." "What can you do?" Lu Feng said and looked at Gao Jiwei and the manager of the personnel department. The meaning was obvious. It's going to be a tough battle next. The business war is all about money. Lu Feng looked at manager Li and asked, "How much money do we have now?" "Currently available funds are 14.76 million. This figure is before the end of April. Because there are 3 factories to start construction, the prepayment model is adopted. These 3 factories have paid 17 million in advance. This money is deducted from the special fund, as well as the billing cycle for raw materials, water and electricity, and employee wages." "Can this 14 million be spent?" Lu Feng asked bluntly. "No," Manager Li was taken aback. The money was a lot of money, and he said anxiously, "Mr. Lu, the shortfall of 20 million is the second phase of the project, which is expected to explode in the spring of next year. If all the money is spent, this funding gap will be detonated in advance. This money is used to maintain the daily operation of the 7 factories. If it is spent, it must be withdrawn from the special fund. Once it is withdrawn, the advance payment for the first phase of the project will be enough, but there will be a problem with the final payment in autumn, Gao Jiwei explained on the side. Lu Feng took the information and looked at it. A total of 4 factories started construction this year, and 9 next year. As for the daily expenses of the factories, there are other ways. Lu Feng needs 14 million. Show me the current income statement of canned beverages. Manager Li hurriedly turned his head and beckoned to the chief financial officer, bring me the income statement. Gao Jiwei quietly paid attention to Lu Feng's expression, and had a bad feeling in his heart. Based on what he knew about Lu Feng, the $14 million might not be able to be saved. After a while, he brought a few forms. Lu Feng looked at it for a while. The profit from the factory was very considerable. The cost of small cans was only 20 cents. The price still keeps the profit margin of small cans at 40%. As for lactic acid bacteria, the profit margin has soared to 390%, of which the highest profit is mineral water, with a profit of 1000%. After a brief understanding of the financial status of the major factories, Lu Feng closed the folder and said, in a week, the marketing will be officially launched, and I will burn the 14 million within 3 months. The marketing department will have a meeting later. Manager Li is a person who has seen the world, but now he feels that his eyes are dark. If his body is not tough, he is afraid that he will be drawn directly. Obviously, he does not intend to live for 3 months. Mr. Lu, if the money is moved, what will happen to the costs of the next 7 factories? And if you want to fight a price war, it means that there is basically no income for 3 months. I will find a way to squeeze the gap out of loans from other factories. It's hard to talk about the next few places. Our team is stuck in Taiyuan. We originally got a sum of money from there, and when we planned, Taiyuan was also a big factory. Gao Jiwei kept raising difficulties and wanted Lu Feng to give up. This is simply suicide. I'm going to talk, I'll find a way to end the meeting. After Lu Feng finished speaking, he stood up and walked out of the conference room. Wahaha has been suing GMA Food for infringement in major provinces, demanding that products be taken off the shelves. The newspapers outside have covered the sky with reports, and saliva has been flying between the 2 companies. There was already a lot of noise in the conference room. Zong looked at the folder in his hand and looked at everyone present. They had already collected all the information about GMA Food that they could collect. At present, funding is the weakness of GMA Foods. Whether or not to fight a price war is the focus of debate among the people present. Some people say that it must be fought, and that they have to sue for compensation. Some people say that there is no need to get into a money-burning war with GMA Food. Some people say that if the court doesn't care, or if it is with the muddy mud, let's copy his products, the small canned food market will respond very well, and the mineral water is also very creative. Okay, be quiet. Mr. Zhou knocked on the table, and the entire conference room was silent in an instant, and everyone's eyes were focused on him. The market price war must be fought. This is the only way to defeat GMA Food. Our goal is to defeat it and acquire it. There was applause in the conference room, but at the beginning of this year, the acquisition of a factory from a state-owned enterprise had already spent 80 million in cash, and there was not much money on the books. How much can you spend? It looks like 2045. If there are more, we will be a little bit hurt. Is the money enough? Many people murmured to themselves, in their eyes, GMA Foods industry is too big, and the entire north is covered with his factories, but they don't know that these are debts. Then 25 million. From today, we will follow up all products of GMA Food, speed up the research and development process, and form a team of lawyers to sue the other party. We must put the case on our side for trial. People in the business world felt an unprecedented murderous aura. Although the war of words between the two companies has subsided a lot in the past 2 days, some gossip has begun to spread everywhere. Some small newspapers began to report everywhere that the price war between the two sides was imminent. It was rumored that Wahaha had prepared 50 million yuan, and the main battlefields were in Henan and Hebei. And GMA Food has also prepared 30 to 40 million yuan. The target market is the Yangtze River Delta and the Pearl River Delta, and a crazy discount is about to be spilled. Lu Feng held meetings for 3 consecutive days to adjust the market share of each province, and notified the major factories to cooperate in marketing. Mr. Lu, we got Wahaha's marketing plan. Starting today, we will give 30% of the profits to major agents and distributors. At the same time, we will take out the terminal price and exchange 3 bottles of all products for free. A bottle of product, the marketing manager said. This is equivalent to repurchasing the bottle and processing it, so let's follow this. Lu Feng smiled when he looked at him as if he had obtained a treasure. This old-fashioned method also made him so excited, and he planned to copy it and said, my marketing plan has already been written, so I called let's do it again. Bottle. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 139. One more bottle? The marketing manager was a little surprised, but nodded, wondering secretly. It seemed that President Lu had already made a decision. They can execute it? Lu Feng went back to the office and took out the one more bottle plan. Looking at the plan, he felt a little emotional. Lu Feng made it available more than 10 years ahead of schedule. Back then, several major beverage giants fought a price war, and they vomited after drinking one more bottle. Every time you open a bottle, there is a scratch-off feeling, like gambling, giving people an indescribable surprise. This marketing method is definitely the pinnacle of beverage history. Zhang Fengxia sorted out Wahaha's marketing materials, walked in with a lot of folders, put them on the table and said, do you want to see these? What? Some business marketing details of Wahaha collected? Don't look at it, it's useless. I think, your chances of winning are really low. They have prepared at least 40 million in cash, and even throwing money at you can kill you. Now you only want to be stable. No one can make you go bankrupt in 3 or 5 years. Conservative, sometimes it is the best attack. Zhang Fengxia put her hands on the table and said, this is what my teacher Pete told me. He said that 90% of the businessmen in this world kill themselves. That's why I taught students like you. Lu Feng stood up and said, in my world, there is only attack. Always charge, go to the conference room. Zhang Fengxia looked at the back of him leaving, and had an indescribable feeling in her heart. There were only 2 fates for Lu Feng. One was to become a legendary figure, and the other was to pass through this arrow like a shooting star. In the conference room, the deputy director can no longer be seen. Gao Jiwei introduced the situation, including the production situation of the factory in Zhengzhou. Manager Li talked about the fund mobilization situation. The marketing department made a report on the current situation in several provinces. In other words, several provinces between the north and the south were selected, which can be understood as a commercial competition centered on Huihai. The latest products will be distributed to major factories the day after tomorrow, and they will be produced as soon as possible, and the goods will be shipped as soon as possible. This one more bottle activity is aimed at the provinces where Wahaha is doing activities to increase the winning rate. My request is that the winning rate of 2 bottles out of 3 bottles is the winning rate. I calculated this profit, and it still looks like a dozen%, and at the same time, advertising has to keep up. In the early stage, I made large banner advertisements and wall fonts, and painted the advertisements on the walls of the village to reduce the price of small cans. In the terminal sales, a buy 3 get 1 free campaign was implemented, and they were sent directly to the banquet table in the countryside. Superior. 14 million, I want you to spend 10 million within a month. He didn't choose Anhui, Hunan, and Shandong. He mainly attacked these 3 places. Lu Feng looked at the marketing manager and said, if the market share of the 3 provinces is suppressed by the other side, all the marketing managers of the 7 factories will get out of my way, and if the market share of the cities does not increase, they will go to the rural market. Beat. A lot of our products have been copied recently. Caramel is going to be released recently, so be careful. Lu Feng looked at Gao Jiwei and said, don't be idle if you spend so many lawyers. I've been filing a complaint recently, but I'm still arguing about the place of ownership. The other party said it was going to be in Hangzhou, and we said we were going to be here. This matter will be gone for a while. The other party has sued us 37 times, and there are still some few companies sued us. I chatted with the legal person yesterday, and it adds up to more than 100 cases. Gao Jiwei's face was full of helplessness. It can be seen how the situation has reached. It is estimated that there is only one company like GMA Food in the whole country. Don't be afraid of biting if there are too many lice. Now the most important thing is the market. Another bottle of activity in the local market will lower the winning rate. Lu Feng took a deep breath, calculated silently in his heart, and said, keep it within 140% or so, pay attention to the cost. Now the two have completely killed their eyes. According to some newspapers, both sides are fighting to the death. This time, both sides have used all the means at their disposal. Once they lose, one side will quickly acquire the market and form an absolute advantage, which can suppress the development of the other side for at least 3 to 5 years. GMA Foods is a company that is called a lawsuit-ridden company. It is like a small tree in a storm. It is dangerous, but it will not fall. Many newspapers even openly questioned what kind of people are standing behind GMA Foods. Wahaha's marketing has been in operation for 3 days, and the response has been very good in the market. The sales volume has increased by 29% within 3 days. The announcement of this data has shocked everyone. Some people estimate that Wahaha will burn through the tens of millions of expenses. Not only can smash GMA Food, but also make Wahaha's market value reach a value of 500 to 1,000 million. Last year, Wahaha sales data exceeded 100 million yuan, and the market valuation was 270 million yuan. If it is as predicted, it will achieve a 5-fold increase in value this year, which is too fast. There is no one in the past, it is absolute, and there is no one who will come later. Some people who are interested in business are waiting for GMA Food, and even some professors who study business are waiting, but they are not optimistic about GMA Food at all, and even sneer. Even Gao Jiwei and Zhang Fengxia, who knew about Lu Feng's entire process, were a little skeptical. This routine was too simple. When the first batch of products were sent to the market and appeared in various commissaries, supply and marketing cooperatives, and street supermarkets, at 9 o'clock in the morning, a young man walked into the supermarket and wanted to buy a few bottles of drinks. Buy this one has a prize. Prize. New products, activities, there is a chance to win the lottery. If you open the bottle cap and write another bottle, you can get a bottle for free. Give it for nothing. A few minutes later, the young man walked out of the supermarket with 6 bottles of uncapped drinks. His mouth was about to laugh crookedly. This scene was staged in 3 provinces at the same time, but the probability of winning the lottery in the northern market was lower. This kind of gambling-like marketing method made everyone want to try it. After 10 o'clock in the morning, the market feedback was just 2 words: exploded. Beverages under GMA Foods are on sale like crazy. Some canteens with little stock have been sold out, and people can get several bottles for a bottle of money. 7 telephones were set up in the marketing department's office, which rang non-stop all morning. The marketing department manager rushed out of the office, excited like a child, and wanted to open Gao Jiwei's office door. "Mr. Gao," the major factories responded, "sales exploded and the market exploded." "Really? How much did it sell?" "They sold the usual 3-day volume in the morning, and they are still growing. They have begun to increase production. The feedback from agents at all levels has exploded, and this morning, the factory's sales have also exploded." There was an excited look on Gao Jiwei's face. He was worried last night that the money would be thrown and there would be no response. He didn't expect the effect to be so obvious. "It's a sales chart, it's a comparison. The market share has surpassed that of Wahaha." Gao Jiwei laughed while looking at the form, and ran out of the office towards Lu Feng's office. On the way, every office was surprised. What happened? What kind of stimulation was Gao always got? Was he crazy? "Mr. Lu. President Lu, we have overtaken the market share," Gao Jiwei shouted loudly. "What? Our market share surpasses Wahaha." Everyone began to cheer, and excited voices came one after another in the corridor. "What's wrong?" Zhang Fengxia opened the door with a puzzled face. "Where's Mr. Lu?" Gao Jiwei rushed into the office, almost slapped the desk with his hands, and shouted, "Our market share has surpassed." "What? Overtake?" Zhang Fengxia was shocked. "Which province?" "Just those 3 provinces." The first reaction in Zhang Fengxia's mind was that it was impossible, absolutely impossible. According to market research, the smallest gap between these 3 provinces is also around 3%. Million products. Overnight. How much? Lu Feng asked with a smile while looking at him. 0.12%, 0.05%, 0.01%. You don't need to get too excited, it's normal to overtake. If the other party doesn't learn our marketing methods, the gap will widen. Lu Feng took a sip from his teacup indifferently. Zhang Fengxia was standing at the door. She felt that everything seemed to be under his control. He was not surprised at all, nor did he panic before. A person who is not emotional makes people feel scary. As the news came out, people all over the country who were paying attention to this matter were shocked and tied overnight, which was a blow to those professors and scholars. In the meeting room of Wahaha, it was deadly silent, and many people had high blood pressure. Welcome to the noon news, the latest news. The market share of all products of GMA Foods exceeds that of Wahaha, and it has become the food company with the largest market share in the country. All of its beverages have participated in the One More Bottle campaign, and the small can currently has a buy 3 get 1 free campaign. The news swept the entire industry like a tornado. Such a marketing can definitely be recorded in the history of beverages. The scale and speed are so large that it is too late for people to react. Wahaha is now faced with a choice: can they come up with the same marketing plan as this kind of activity? If they can't come up with it, the follow-up will be meaningless. There is another option: directly copy Lu Feng's plan. Return to 1990. Author, Guanwei 11 Feng. Chapter 140. With the shaking of the industry, this decisive battle kicked off vigorously. In the next few days, the productivity of the 7 factories of GMA Foods was like a wild horse. It was like a flood in the market. In just a few days, the sales volume increased by 19%, and there were even shortages in some places. Under the huge impact, not only the impact on Wahaha, but also some local small workshops have also been impacted. The total market volume remains unchanged, and the increase in the share of GMA Food means that other brands cannot survive. The latest data shows that GMA Food has a total of 9 beverages, occupying 11% of the market share in the beverage category, ranking first. This data makes the scalps of countless people numb. The beverage category includes orange juice, milk, milk powder, etc., and some locally produced soft drinks and other beverages. Not only drinks, but small cans have officially entered the banquet, launching banquet versions, nutritional versions, children's versions, etc. With the start of giving away, sales have skyrocketed. For a few days, the marketing manager, Gao Jiwei, Zhang Fengxia, and the others were already a little numb, and they didn't feel anything about the data, especially when they heard that the sales volume had increased by 19%, that's how they felt. As long as Lu Feng is there is nothing that can't be done, and after several days of market squeeze, Wahaha can't hold it anymore, so they started another bottle of promotions. At the same time, they listed 6 drinks in one go. Less similar to Game Food. The legal affairs sued for the first time, and the two-pronged battle was further escalated. Gao Jiwei held several press conferences, and it was another war of words. From April onwards, Lu Feng began to inspect the major factories. In a month, he ran through several factories. As for the lions behind the negotiating teams, Lu Feng directly paid them and left. Of the 16 factories originally reserved, 12 have been discussed. Except for the reserved Taiyuan factory, the remaining 3 small factories will not be discussed for the time being. Money is burning fast, workers are paid, suppliers pay bills, etc., products are selling like a raging fire, and now the advertisements of GMA Foods say that GMA Foods will sell 1 billion bottles this year. A large number of concessions to agents, concessions to terminal operators, plus another bottle of discount, GMA Foods has approached zero profit margins, and even lost money. 14 million looks like a lot, but it is placed in 7 factories and burned for a maximum of 2 months. However, in this state, 10 million has been burned, and the remaining 4 million can be supported until the end of May at most. As the biggest market competition under the free market business competition after the reform, some financial institutions such as Hong Kong are also staring at the two companies, and they even know the status of the two companies better than the domestic media. The Hong Kong Financial Times did an interview with Tian Tuo Finance, and the title was very bluffing, saying that GMA Food, which is strong in the outside world and dry in the middle, will collapse with a bang in a month. The content inside is all dry goods. Wahaha has a strong foundation. It has built a very solid foundation step by step over the past 3 years. All its factories are bought. GMA Food is different. It is all leased, without any physical capital. It grows too fast, and the follow-up funds are weak. It is all dependent on a series of tricky operations to get to today. The report was reprinted in newspapers in the Pearl River Delta region with the headline, GMA Food is burning its last drop of blood. Too many financial institutions and professionals have seen the fragility of GMA Food, and even some small newspapers have disgusting headlines, "What is GMA Food with kidney deficiency?" It was already May, the air was a little hot, the green turf was shady, and the trees were shady. Lu Feng had been back from the factory in Zhengzhou for a few days, and he had been hungry several times after reading the newspaper on the table. Manager Li has also approached him several times. If the funding problem cannot be resolved by the end of the month, GMA Foods will collapse. The employees in the factory are very excited because they see their products are everywhere and advertisements are everywhere. However, only a few people, Manager Li, Lu Feng, Gao Jiwei, and Zhang Fengxia knew. The factory is almost unable to sustain it, and this money-burning war is unplayable. As Wahaha opens another bottle, it becomes difficult to expand the market. Zhang Fengxia walked in with the information and said, Manager Li said that if it's not certain, he will leave at the end of the month. His suggestion is that you go to the southern market to raise funds, and the special funds can no longer be moved. We make headlines every day. Some important newspapers have already publicly criticized, not criticizing us, but criticizing those places. Funding at such a critical time, the other party is definitely a lion. Lu Feng's original plan was to raise a sum of money after this wave is over. Whether he can go public or not depends on Gao Jiwei and Du Kefeng. The financing is too bad now. According to the valuation, the other party won't buy it. According to the market value, we have lost too much. Lu Feng raised his legs and lit a cigarette and did not speak. Zhang Fengxia looked at him and asked, "Is there nothing you can do?" "Well, there is no way, you can help me." She can't believe this kind of nonsense. Ever since Lu Feng planned another bottle of this level of marketing, Lu Feng has an inexplicable halo in Zhang Fengxia's eyes. Even her teacher Pit called her excitedly and kept talking about the marketing event. "I have to go again. I'm looking for money every day." "What did the original team in Taiyuan talk about?" Lu Feng asked. "You still have the idea of a policy of attracting investment," Zhang Fengxia reminded. "We are already old lads in attracting investment, and now the whole country knows that we get discounts in major provinces, and those in the investment promotion office say that we are policy beggars. The beggars who can get food are not ordinary beggars. It's different now. We are the largest company in the beverage industry, and our development prospects are very good." My whole Lu Feng slapped his thigh and said, "After this hurdle, it's still a master. Then how much are you going to pay Taiyuan?" "No matter what, I have to give 20 million, and it can't be a special fund," Lu Feng said with a confident smile on his face. "Isn't he going to fight a price war? Isn't he going to burn money? I play with him, just afraid that he won't be able to play. You are ready to go on a business trip with me the day after tomorrow." "Ah, I'm on a business trip again," Zhang Fengxia said, a little dissatisfied. "The two of us are golden partners. Besides, you have become more and more familiar with the factory recently, and you have started to take care of some things. This is a learning process. After this matter is over, it will start to become a group next year, and I will leave it to you." "Real?" Lu Feng nodded. Zhang Fengxia couldn't tell how excited she was. At her age, if she could lead a company in charge of grouping and integrating departments and resources, this experience and resume would be a gilded business card. Lu Feng didn't speak, but he knew in his heart that it was an empty promise. He would still be led by Gao Jiwei and Du Kefeng. With these two people around, he would be more at ease. In the evening, Lu Feng picked up Duo from the kindergarten, bought vegetables, pushed open the door, saw Zhang Xiaoyan sitting on the sofa, and saw the father and daughter coming back and wondered, "Why is it so early today?" "There's nothing wrong with the factory." Lu Feng handed over the dishes and asked, "Why didn't you go out to play cards in the afternoon?" "I don't play anymore, I don't know how to play again. I lost 10 yuan last time, and I still feel distressed. In the past, it was my salary for washing dishes for a month." Seeing her like this, Lu Feng might not be able to become a wealthy woman who spends a lot of money in her life. She played with a lot of dolls, the windmill was playing on the TV, and Zhang Xiaoyan was busy in the kitchen. Everything around him is kind and relaxing. Sitting on the sofa, Lu Feng unconsciously began to think about what he should do in the next few years. This family has been supported. Even if the factory collapses, Lu Feng can ensure that their mother and daughter will live a better life than ordinary people, but standing in the wind of this era, it is impossible to be careless. The profit of food is limited. Even if it is 300% of the profit, it is impossible to become Bill Gates. Lu Feng calculated silently in his heart. Even after 30 years of operation, the value of GMA food is estimated at the appearance of 20 to 30 billion yuan is the normal value of a first-class food group. The big head holds 5% of the shares, and Lu Feng diluted 30% to the management. He still has 65%. After this period of time, he will definitely need to raise funds, otherwise Lu Feng will not be able to plug the capital gap. Yes, it is expected to sell 20 to 30% of the equity. After doing a rough calculation in his heart, Lu Feng muttered, "By 2020, I'll be worth only 6 or 7 billion. As an excellent young entrepreneur who was worth 2 billion in his 30s in his last life, he couldn't accept this result. He was completely sorry for his status as a reincarnated person. It's time to eat. Zhang Xiaoyan put a bowl of rice in front of Lu Feng and said, "What are you thinking? So ecstatic." "It's nothing, by the way, I have to go on a business trip in 2 days." "I'm on a business trip again. Didn't I just come back for a few days?" Zhang Xiaoyan was a little dissatisfied. In this month, he didn't even stay at home for 10 days. "I was inspecting the factory in those days. I haven't been there yet. Who knows what the people under my command are doing. This time I'm going to Shaanxi. It won't take a few days, but a week. Just enough to spend. What's the use of earning so much money? Don't worry about food or clothes, everyday people are busy for money," Zhang Xiaoyan muttered. "You can change to a big house, or a luxury car, a Bentley, or something," Lu Feng asked tentatively while eating. "Do you like the south? Do you like the sea? Northern land duck, what are you going to do in the south?" Zhang Xiaoyan thought about it and said, "Does Fi Long know about Li Fi Long's wife, who got divorced a few days ago? She was swimming with her lover in Baidahe. She heard that she looked like a foreigner, so she wore it. A bra and shorts are a shame. Ha 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 ha." Lu Feng was amused by her gossip about a group of women in the village, and said, "We can buy a villa by the sea and play like this every day."